Good evening everyone, welcome to the Tathastu. So as part of our history lecture series, we have covered till INA, Indian National Army और आज़ाद हिंद फौज. लास्ट क्लास में हमने क्या देखा था? लास्ट क्लास में हमने we had seen about the INA revolt, we had also seen the contribution of INA, and we had also seen the impact of INA trials. गुड इवनिंग एवरीवन. जो INA के ट्रायल हुए उसका क्या इम्पैक्ट हुआ ये भी हमने देख लिया था. इन एडिशन टू दिस INA ट्रायल्स, अनदर थिंग विच वॉज हैपनिंग इन इंडिया एट दैट पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम वॉज द इलेक्शंस. So in 1946, if we see, we were having elections in India. Good evening everyone, good evening, very good evening. Welcome to the Tathastu. So as I was telling that in December, January 1946, we were having elections in India. So I am starting from where I had left in the last class, that is the completion of INA trials. After INA trials, election in 1946, and together with this, another thing that was going on in India was Royal Indian Navy Mutiny. Royal Indian Navy Mutiny. This happened when? In February 1946. So both these happenings at almost the similar time frame, you can say. So first we will see the election, then we will move to the mutiny. So if we see the election, after the completion of World War II, there was a change of government in the Britain, and when the new government came, it announced elections in the December-January 1946, and as part of that election, Indian National Congress, Muslim League, Communist parties, Hindu Mahasabha, All India Scheduled Caste Federation, all these parties were campaigning in the elections throughout the country. As part of that campaign, Indian National Congress had also highlighted the issue of INA trials and the mistreatment meted by the British to the patriotic soldiers of INA. When the election results came out, it became very clear that to whom the people have supported. And if you see the results of elections, there were mainly two victors. One was the Congress and other was the Muslim League. One was the Congress and other was the Muslim League. If you take the result of election at center, out of 102 seats, 59 were won by the Congress and 30 by the Muslim League. As we know, Namaste Sudhanshu. Hello Meena, hello Madhuri, everyone, very good evening. Let's concentrate. So at center, if we see, out of 102 seats, 59 went to Congress and 30 went to Muslim Leagues. As we know, good evening Pramila. So the seats were reserved in the elections. There was separate electorate for Muslims. So there were seats reserved for Muslims, and Muslim League won all the seats reserved for Muslims. So that was a phenomenal victory for Muslim League in this election. And in rest of the seats, Congress was able to win 59 out of the rest 72 seats, basically the general seats, general constituencies. This is at center. If you see overall situation, Muslim League was able to win around 75% of all votes in Muslim constituencies. Basically, the constituencies reserved for Muslims because of separate electorate. So if we see this, 75% of all votes in Muslim constituencies won by Muslim League. What does it show? It was interpreted by the Muslim League and Jinnah as a vote, as a mandate for Pakistan, as a mandate for partition. So this was interpreted as a mandate for Pakistan. Mandate for Pakistan. This was one development which happened because of this election. If we see the situation of Congress, it was also not lagging behind. It won 80% votes in general constituencies. Which clearly shows the popularity of Congress among the general population. In addition, good evening Saurabh. In addition, if we see the performance of both these parties, Muslim League and Congress in provinces, if you see, except 3 provinces, that is the province of Sindh, Punjab and Bengal. In 3 provinces, Muslim League came in power, Muslim League won the elections, and in rest of the provinces, whether it was United Province, whether it was Bihar, whether it was Orissa, whether Bengal, sorry, not Bengal in Muslim League, whether it was Orissa, whether it was Madras, in all these provinces except Sindh, Punjab and Bengal, who came in power? Congress. So Congress won provinces, all provinces except 3, that is Punjab, Sindh and Bengal. So the election which was conducted in 1946 brought things to light, made things clear. What they made things clear? One thing was very clear, that majority of Muslims in Muslim constituencies are supporting Muslim League, which was interpreted as a mandate for partition, mandate for Pakistan by the Muslim League. Second thing, the popularity of Congress was also very high. It was riding high on the success of Quit India movement, on the success of INA trials, and because of that we can see it won more than 80% votes in general constituency. So Congress was also quite popular. 2 things made clear. This election also impacted the cabinet mission, which will come later, which we will discuss in the next lecture about the cabinet mission and other things, because this election decided that who were the major parties, major stakeholders in the freedom struggle. In addition to this election, one more thing was happening simultaneously, and that was Indian Royal Navy Mutiny. Indian Royal Navy Mutiny. If we see the beginning of this Indian Royal Navy Mutiny, if you see the background, on 1st of December 1945, there was a Navy Day, and on Navy Day, there was planned a big celebration where all the flags, British Navy flags and other things have to be put on the ships. But what happened, that on HMIS Talwar, if you see, what is HMIS? HMIS is His Majesty's Indian ship, basically the ship of Britain, ship of the crown. So His Majesty's Indian ship HMIS Talwar, if we see the Navy ratings, naval ratings. Who are naval ratings? Like in army you have Jawans, in the same way in Navy you have sailors. So basically sailors or the naval ratings, they were called. The lowest person in the hierarchy of Navy is naval ratings. So some of the naval ratings motivated politically, what they did, instead of raising the flags of Navy, they raised the flag of Quit India. They raised the flag of Death to British. Such types of flags were raised. Such type of things were written on the ships. They scrawled Quit India on the ships. Because of that, many of these ratings were arrested. Many of these ratings were arrested. That also led to disaffection, disillusionment among the naval ratings. Plus, there were some other problems also with naval ratings which they were facing on the ships. What were these? First was the bad accommodation. There was not enough space, proper space for accommodating them. There was too much recruitment because of the World War II, but enough infrastructure were not created. So bad accommodation. Then food was very bad. So bad food was also there. Third thing, racial discrimination against the naval ratings. They were not happy because a lot of people, basically the officers and the British officers, they were discriminating against them. They were involving in racial discrimination, and as you know, these officers, they also used to mistreat the Indian ratings. So because of these reasons, there was disaffection among the naval ratings. And so on 18th February, we see these ratings revolting, these ratings protesting. So as part of this revolt, they went on hunger strike. They did hunger strike and they gave the slogan, no food, no work. So basically they refused to work because we will not have food, we will not work, no food, no work, hunger strike on HMIS Talwar. So from here, this mutiny started. If we see the situation, what happened, that slowly this news spread. Slowly this news of naval rating mutiny spread in other bases. So as we will see, this mutiny spread to 78 ships. There were total 88 ships, out of which this spread to 78 ships. In addition to that, more than 20,000 ratings were involved in this mutiny, in this revolt, as we will see. So it was a very wide revolt if we see. And one more thing, in this mutiny, as we will see, it does not just happen on the ships, on the shore establishments. Good evening everyone, good evening Sunny, good evening Shiksha. So as we were discussing, this Royal Indian Naval Mutiny, this started from HMIS Talwar on 18th February 1946. But as we will see, this slowly spread to 78 ships and involved 20,000 naval ratings. So it was a very widespread mutiny in that sense. They did hunger strike. They said no food, no work. But what was the impact of this? The impact was that city after city went on strike in support of these naval ratings. So first strike began in Bombay, then this strike went to Karachi, then there was a strike in Ahmedabad, Madurai, Kanpur. All these cities rose in revolt, rose in support of these naval ratings, and so this spread all over India. In addition to that, the members of Royal Indian Force, members of Army also fraternized with these people. They also joined in their struggle. So basically this revolt spread to not just Navy but Army and Air Force also. Good evening Brajesh, good evening everyone. So as we are seeing that this revolt spread to all over India, to different establishment. What was the impact of this revolt? This revolt had a great impact. It was very short-lived revolt. It started on 18th February and on 23rd February, what happened, that these naval ratings, they went to the Congress leadership they went to Vallabhbhai Patel, they went to Gandhiji, they went to Asaf Ali, and they requested ki lead our movement, lead our mutiny. We want to join you people. We want to lead a struggle under your guidance. But see, this is 1946. Congress at this point of time was negotiating for transfer of power. So Congress people were not in favor of any mutiny at this point of time. Why? Because Sardar Patel said we need armed forces also after independence. We cannot tolerate independence in armed forces. This can be dangerous for us after independence. So the Congress persuaded these ratings to surrender. Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel persuaded these ratings to surrender, and Gandhiji condemned their violence. So on 23rd of February itself, they surrendered after the Congress said that we will look into your issues once we come to power, once we get freedom from the British. So how in just 5 days, you see, this spread to more than 78 ships, more than 20,000 ratings, plus various cities including Bombay, Karachi, Ahmedabad, Kanpur, Madurai, Tiruchirappalli. All these cities were impacted by this. But what was the impact of this mutiny? That is more important. And if you see the impact, such a short-lived mutiny, but it had great impact on freedom struggle. In fact, you can say it was the last nail in the coffin of the British Empire. This also paved the way for the freedom of India. Why? Because the Britishers realized that the armed forces, which are their last thing on which they depend, which was the sword of repression, they could not rely on that. They could not rely on now armed forces for repression, because these forces also are getting politically conscious. They are becoming politically conscious. They are getting influenced by the agenda of Congress and the national movement. So a commission was also set up to inquire, and it also found that most of these naval ratings, they were politically conscious. They were politically conscious. They were politically motivated. So first thing was this. Second thing, no longer the sword of repression. These armed forces are no longer the sword of repression which they can use for continuing their rule in India. In addition to that, if you see the sympathetic army, the sympathetic air force, and the fraternization between army, navy and air force, this also showed that now it is very difficult to rely on these forces, because they have also got politically motivated in the process. In addition, this also had very great psychological impact. Sorry. This also had great psychological impact on the mindset of the people, where they realized that now every section of the society wants to revolt, wants to come out of the British rule. Now is the right time to throw the British out. So in that sense, this mutiny was very important. And as I told you, for Congress, when they went to the Congress, what was the attitude of Congress? Congress at this point of time was not in favor of mutiny, especially with respect to the armed forces, because Sardar Patel said that we need armed forces after the independence also. So discipline in the forces should be maintained. So that's all in Royal Indian Navy mutiny and the 1946 elections. In next class, we'll come up with cabinet mission and other topic. So that's all in today's lecture. Thank you.